Today we will continue with greatest polynomial factor. It will be other kind of exercises. We will have two types of exercises today. The first one is when sometimes the greatest polynomial factor it's not written in parentheses. So we need to use common factor to see the greatest polynomial factor clearly. And the second type of exercise that we are going to do today, it's in other times we have identical polynomial factors with different powers. So we need to take out the common factor that will be the highest common power that it's common for every term. So the steps are the same for today. Find the greatest polynomial factor, write the factor on one parenthesis and the other terms on the second parenthesis. We need to do like term simplification when it's possible. And at the end, we will need to order our parentheses. So let's see the first example. On this first example, we can see that we have the greatest polynomial factor that it's not inside a parenthesis. So we can write it differently and we can put it like 5x minus 8y that multiplies 3x squared plus 5x minus 3x plus 12y that multiplies 3x squared plus 5x plus 1 that multiplies 3x squared plus 5x. So that's the kind of exercises we are going to have today. We need to put this to see the greatest polynomial factor more clearly. So first, we will put on one parenthesis the greatest polynomial factor. And on the other parenthesis, I will start using brackets. 5x minus 8y minus 3x plus 12y plus 1. So it's going to be 3x squared plus 5x. And on the second parenthesis, 5x minus 8y. Remember, this minus sign will change the sign of both of them. So it's going to be minus 3x minus 12y plus 1. So it's going to be 3x squared plus 5x. That multiplies, in this case, 5x minus 3x. It's 2x minus 8 minus 12. It's minus 20y plus 1. Remember, when inside the parentheses we can take out something as a factor, we need to take it out. In this case, on the first parenthesis, both of them have x. So our correct answer is going to be x that multiplies 3x plus 5 that multiplies 2x minus 20y plus 1. And this is going to be our final unordered answer. So as we saw, it's kind of similar to exercises of last topic. It's the same topic, I mean, but there are different exercises with only the change that we will need to put inside parentheses here the greatest common factor to be more clearly to see. Let's do another example. So let's see, on the second exercise, it's going to be something very similar. We need to, in this case, I'm sorry, I forgot to put here 5x minus 6y. So in the second exercise, as I was telling you, we need to look for the common polynomial factor. So in this case, it's going to be that it's similar, but we can write it different to have it here. So I can write it like 3a minus 5 that multiplies 5x minus 6y plus 1 that multiplies 5x minus 6y minus 2a minus 12 that multiplies 5x minus 6y. So in this case, I have now the greatest polynomial factor clearly. So I put the greatest polynomial factor in one parenthesis. On the second parenthesis, we will put the other terms. So it's going to be 5x minus 6y that multiplies 3a minus 5 plus 1. Remember the minus sign, change the signs of both, so it's going to be minus 2a plus 12. So it's going to be 5x minus 6y that multiplies a. Then in the case of numbers, it's going to be 13 minus 5, so it's going to be plus 8. So this is going to be our actual final answer, that it's correctly ordered. We cannot do any type of getting out with a common term. We don't need to order it because it's already ordered. So that's going to be our final answer of exercise number 2. Let's see another example. So let's see the third example. It's going to be a little bit different because if we see here, of course, the greatest polynomial factor is going to be a squared minus b squared. But here we have it with different signs. So what we need to do, we can write it like 7x minus 3 that multiplies a squared minus b squared minus 1. I will take out a minus 1 to become a squared minus b squared. Then we can see that we are going to have the greatest polynomial factor, that it's going to be the same on every term. So it's going to be putting out the polynomial factor on the first parenthesis. On the second parenthesis, I will put a bracket on this one. It's going to be 7x minus 3 minus 1 plus 3x plus 5 plus 8. So it's going to be a squared minus b squared that multiplies 7x minus 3 minus 1 plus 3x plus 5 plus 8. So it's going to be a squared minus b squared that multiplies 7 plus 3, it's 10, 10x. In the case of the numbers, 8 plus 5, it's going to be 13 minus 4, it's plus 9. So I cannot take out anything of the two parentheses, so this is going to be our final answer. Today we don't know to do the process of a squared minus b squared, but for those people that have seen it, this can be written also as a plus b multiplied by a minus b that multiplies 10x plus 9. But for this case, because we have only seen greatest factor or greatest common factor, this is going to be our final answer. On the future, we will be able to get this answer, but for this case, for this specific topic, this is going to be our actual final answer. Let's see another example. Let's go now with the exercises that we have identical polynomial factors, but to different powers. So as we talk about it, we need to take out the common factor that will be the highest common power. So in this case, from 3x minus 5, the highest common power, it's the smallest one, 2. So it's going to be 3x minus 5, all of it squared. On the second one, it's going to be 2x plus 7 squared, 2x plus 7 squared. Then I will open up a bracket or a parenthesis in this case for this term to become the first one, we only need to have, or we only lack of one parenthesis of 3x minus 5, because we have 3x minus 5 squared to become 3x minus 5 cubed. We only need to have another 3x minus 5. 2x plus 7 squared to become 2x plus 7 squared. We don't need anything. And let's see, for the second part, to become that one, 3x minus 5 squared, we have it, but 2x plus 7, we have it squared, we need it to the third power, so it's going to be plus 2x plus 7. So in this case, it's going to be 3x minus 5 squared multiplied by 2x plus 7 squared multiplied by 3x minus 5 plus 2x plus 7. So we can do in this case like term simplification, and our final answer is going to be 3x minus 5, all of it squared, 2x plus 7, all of it squared. That multiplies 3 plus 2, it's 5x. 7 minus 2, it's 7 minus 5, I'm sorry, it's minus 2. So this is going to be our actual final answer. So as we saw, it's very similar. It's only using greatest polynomial factor to obtain what it's common first, and on the other parentheses, what it's not common, do like term simplification when possible, and order our parentheses. So let's see another example. So let's go with the last exercise. Imagine we have something like this. It's the same kind of exercise. We need to look for the greatest common power on the polynomial factor. So in this case, it's going to be 7a squared minus 8b squared with the highest common power, that it will be the smallest one, to the 4th power. Then we will check out the other one, that it's going to be 6b squared minus 5a squared to the 2nd power, that it's going to be the smallest one. Then I will open up a parenthesis or a bracket in this case. Then I will compare the first one with the first term. So we only need to have another one of 7a squared minus 8b squared, because I need one of it to become 7a squared minus 8b squared to the 5th. In the case of 6b squared minus 5a squared, we have it squared, so we don't need anything. And on the second one, of course, we need one more of 6b squared minus 5a squared to become 6b squared minus 5a squared to the third one. So in this case, it's going to be 7a squared minus 8b squared to the 4 multiplied by 6b squared minus 5a squared to the 2nd. Then on the last parenthesis, it's going to be 7a squared minus 8b squared. Remember, this minus sign will change the sign of both of them, so it's going to be minus 6b squared plus 5a squared. So it's going to be 7a squared minus 8b squared to the 4th. That multiplies 6b squared minus 5a squared, all of it to the 2nd power. And on the last parenthesis, 7 plus 5, it's 12a squared minus 14b squared. So we can take out from the from the last parenthesis, we can take out a common factor that is going to be 2. So the final answer is going to be 2, that multiplies 7a squared minus 8b squared, all of it to the 4th power. That multiplies 6b squared minus 5a squared to the 2nd power. Then 2 will multiply 6a squared to become 12a squared. Will multiply minus 7b squared to become 14b squared. So this is going to be our actual final answer. Remember, if at the end we can take out something from a parenthesis, we will need to take it out as a monomial common factor to have the correct answer. So that will be it for today, and also it will be all for the topic of greatest polynomial factor. So now you can do greatest polynomial factor activity part 2.